What's the scariest experience you've had you can't explain?
A very lifelike dream where an unseen entity pinned me on my bed and shoved my phone down my throat. I woke up with my fingers down my throat trying to dislodge it, not realizing it was on the charger on the nightstand.
I was in Italy and walking through a small market. It was very full and many people walked toward us. There was one guy who was like a head taller than everyone, wearing dark clothes and had darker skin. He had his head bent down, but 'cause I'm short I could see his face perfectly. He had the widest grin I've ever seen. The moment I put my eyes on him I felt the most intense fear. Like something instinctual had been triggered in me. He was walking directly toward me and all I could think about was that surely the moment we were at the same height he would grab and stab me. I stepped to the side into a group of tourists. As he walked past he was chuckling, his face didn't change. His chuckle was very deep and always the same sound. It was like no one had noticed him, his clothes were so different from everyone else, he was so much taller, he had such a scary aura around him. But no one noticed. My dad hadn't even noticed that I had stopped walking. The moment the guy passed me I felt fine again. It was like a sepia filter had been removed from my surroundings. It was like the moment I looked at him everything else got tuned out, like in a movie. I never had anything like that happen again, but every now and then I do have nightmares of people following me at a quick pace. Already posted here, but there was this one time I suddenly felt this sense of horrible dread. I felt like my home was the most horrible place to be. My gut told me, don't go home. I went to the bathroom and thought it over. Breaking news. Gas leak right in my apartment and there was an explosion. Like, 5 people died. If I had gone home I would have been blown into a million bits. A few years ago I was on my way to catch the bus to get to school. I saw one of my neighbor, really grumpy old guy. As he walked right past me, he had this big smile on his face which never happens. I looked back at him and he was already like 30 feet away. It seemed weird, but I haven't thought about it too much. Later that day I get home, talk to my mom about how our days went and I mention the small interaction I had with our neighbor just for her to tell me that he passed away the previous night. The chills down my spine have never been stronger. A few years back I was drinking at a friend's. Couldn't drive home so I slept on the couch. I had a strange dream that I had saved a young boy from being hit by a truck just down the road from my friend's house. When I woke up, a young boy had been hit and killed by a truck in the exact spot that I had dreamed of. I was driving home with my daughter who was about 3 at the time. We were driving past bushland when she started recounting a story of how she remembers being in there and being scared that wolves were coming, that they would get her, and she was just so cold and scared. She'd never watched anything like this. We don't have wolves in Australia, so no idea where any of it came from. Bloody kids are scary enough without creepy retelling of sad scary stories. I was a teen, not under any substance, laying in my bed. Suddenly fell in some kind of reality shift. TV sound was distorted, time felt slowed down. Saw 2 silhouettes by the bedroom door. Dark but outlined in bright yellow light. An adult and a kid. Still give me the shivers. One night I was sleeping in my bed draped over my body pillow. I woke up, rolled over on my back, and looked at my closet door. It swung open and out stepped what looked like a very old woman, like 80s old, wearing a white nightgown. We just stared at each other for a few seconds. My defense mechanism / being extremely tired made me lean back on my side, cuddle my body pillow and go back to sleep. Later that night I wake up, roll on my back and look to my closet. The door swings open and out steps the same woman. Again, I roll back to my side and go back to sleep. The next morning I woke up and processed what happened, noticed the exact same thing happened twice down to how I was laying. I was freaked out and rearranged my bedroom. Never happened again. No idea if it was a sleep paralysis thing or what. Never seen that woman before as far as I know. That was many years ago. I live on the top 2 floors of an apartment building with 2 private patios. I woke around 3 a.m. one night to my dog barking in my face. She basically never does that. She led me to the upper patio, so I assumed she had to pee and let her out. Instead, she closely inspected the patio before rushing back inside and to the stairs where she barked at me to follow. I realized that she thought we had an intruder and grabbed my bat before heading downstairs. My dog investigated all of downstairs, before freezing and growling at the glass door to the lower patio. I looked out and could make out the silhouette of a man standing still on my patio. I walked over to the patio light switch and turned on the patio lights. By the time I looked back, the patio was empty. It's basically impossible for someone to get to that balcony without going through my apartment. I have no idea what I saw, but it must have been something, because my dog saw it too. When I was 9, I was playing with a friend in the front car park of our swim club. There was a loud bang on the busy street close to us. We ran over and saw papers scattered on the road and a woman lying there. I look up the street and see a girl I trained with in her cozy looking round the corner at the commotion, smiling and pulling her hair behind her ear. We keep watching the panic unfold, and it was her mom and sister lying unconscious on the road some 10 meters apart, and her, dead, with blood gushing from her ear on the road as well. It was a hit and run. Her mom and sister survived. That poor family. I've posted this before on different subs, so forgive me if you've seen it before. A few years ago I was driving on the freeway by myself. It was a beautiful, clear sunny day. Not a cloud in the sky. I was driving behind a semi and there was a red car behind me. I looked down for a split second to adjust the volume on the stereo. When I looked up, a thick fog had rolled in and the semi was on its side sliding towards me so fast I knew there was nothing I could do to avoid it. I absolutely knew with complete certainty that I was about to die. I was just overwhelmed by this deep devastation that I wouldn't get to see my daughter grow up. It was the most intense emotion I have ever felt in my life. By a landslide. I opened my mouth to scream or gasp or something, and must have blinked because just like that the semi was upright in the lane driving normally, and there was no fog, the sun was out, no clouds, and the red car was still behind me. I wasn't on drugs or medication. I wasn't overtired, I have never hallucinated, and I was mentally/emotionally stable. It was so real. I remember the tendrils of fog being pushed out of the way by the sliding semi. I had to pull over and lose my shit because I'd just been about to die. I don't have a rational explanation. I've never experienced anything similar before or since then. I know in my bones that what I experienced was real. I don't drive behind semis anymore and I stay off the freeway on foggy days. Back in middle school I ended up home alone on a Halloween night because I had gotten grounded. It was kind of late and I was feeling scared and lonely, so I went looking for my pet bunny. He used to run around the house freely, so I went down the hall looking for him. When I reached the end of the hall I saw something black peeking behind the kitchen counter. Since my bunny was black I thought I had found him, so I went to go grab him, but it wasn't even him. What I saw was a black shadow-like thing hovering over the entire kitchen floor. It was only a few inches above the ground. At that moment I was more confused than scared, so I walked towards it and it backed away from me till it disappeared. Then the fear finally kicked in and I ran. One Friday night I have a cold. I was up late watching a TV show about a guy who had his identity wiped and was being chased by some shadowy organization. I took a cold pill before the show started and went to bed after the show ended. An hour I wake up in bed unable to move and I see shadows of people going past my door like they're searching my living room. Once in a while one of these shadows leans in through the bedroom doorway and looks at me to see if I'm sleeping. My eyes are open but I can't move. I try to scream but just a whimper comes out. I fucking love these threads. Kind of scary, and didn't happen to me, but to my mom more than 20 years ago. My mom worked at the now-defunct American Stock Exchange for over 25 years, so she'd accrued a lot of PTO over time. When she was trying to use some of it to take one full work week off for an end-of-summer vacation, she said that a voice inside her head was basically screaming at her to break her week up. When the screaming wouldn't stop, she went to her manager at the last minute to say that she wanted to take individual days off. Her manager kinda side-eyed her, but complied. One of the days that she ended up having off as a result of changing her PTO around was September 11, 2001. The building that her job was located in was a few hundred feet from the towers, and the PATH train that my mom took every morning to the WTC stop would have pulled up at nearly the exact moment one of the planes hit the North Tower. The nagging voice in her head saved my mom's life. I was looking through my then BL's graduation yearbook. I saw a photo of his friend in the book. I had never met this guy. Only heard BL's stories about their endeavors. BL came by. I mentioned seeing said friend in the yearbook. He went through the book looking for the guy's photo. Couldn't find it, not there. I looked, he looked, several others looked. No photo. Found out later that day, that his friend had been accidentally killed at the same time I saw the now non-existent photo. I know I saw him. I described him to my BL to a T. Photo has never reappeared in the yearbook and his friend received his degree posthumously. I can't explain it. Woke up with a thief next to my bed. He said, "Good morning." I replayed, "Good morning." He then left through the window. A few months ago I had sleep paralysis. I'd never had it before, so this was a completely novel experience for me. I woke up, or so I thought, and it felt like someone had gotten into bed with me and was lying on top of me. I was terrified because I lived alone and knew there shouldn't have been anyone there. I couldn't even move to turn my head to see who/what was on top of me. Then whatever it was picked me up fireman style and carried me out of my bedroom. The whole time I couldn't move or speak and felt completely at the mercy of whatever this was. Thankfully I woke up for real shortly after it picked me up.